In the last couple of races of the World Endurance Championship, Peugeot and their 9X8 Hypercar have been doing pretty well. Last time out at the 6 Hours of Monza, Peugeot secured their first ever podium with the 9X8. And during the event itself, the French automaker fought with Toyota and Ferrari for the race win for the majority of the race. So how did Peugeot go from finishing below the top 20 in 2022 at Monza to now fighting for the overall race lead? Well, let's talk about the progression of Peugeot's 9X8 Hypercar in this video. 2 years ago, at Monza in 2021, Peugeot revealed their hypercar, the 9X8. This prototype would mark Peugeot's debut in the World Endurance Championship and return them to the top level of endurance racing, with this car centered around the Le Mans Hypercar regulations. 1 year later at the very same track, Peugeot debuted their hypercar, and now in 2023, Peugeot are fighting for the overall race victory at the 6 Hours of Monza. Since their debut at Monza last year, Peugeot has had a lot of doubts around them, considering that they've had a lot of reliability issues and at times a lack of pace compared to their other competitors. But it seems the Peugeot 9X8 Hypercar has turned a corner as 2023 shows Peugeot's true potential. So why are Peugeot now in the fight? Well, let's take a look at Peugeot's two best races so far in the World Endurance Championship this season. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Peugeot showed incredible pace and were genuine contenders for the overall race win against Ferrari and Toyota. And at Monza, it was a very similar story, with of course the 93 car taking a podium just behind the winning Toyota and the number 50 Ferrari. So what exactly changed in Peugeot's performance? Well, there are multiple factors to consider here, one of which is Peugeot's unique aero design. Instead of an overbody aerodynamic composition, Peugeot have centered around ground effects with the 9X8, which includes having no rear wing. They're focusing the aero design on the floor of the car, including a genius diffuser design, which essentially allows the car to achieve downforce, especially in cornering speed. And this is definitely useful on some of the WEC tracks, like Portimao's Turn 12 or Monza's Curva Grande Turn 3. And if we go back, both of the races at Portimao and Monza more suited the 9X8 this year. Another factor that helped Peugeot was the scheduled adjustments to the balance of performance, or BOP. At Monza, they received a BOP increase of 4 kilowatts of 5.3 brake horsepower, and with Ferrari and somewhat Toyota affected on the BOP and CGR and Penske Racing not having a ton of experience at Monza with Cadillac and Porsche, and with Peugeot already having a bit of experience at Monza since they raced here last year with the 9X8, this allowed them to have a bit of an upper hand against the other manufacturers. So while BOP was a contributing factor, it wasn't the only factor which made Peugeot quick at Monza and other races. During the 6 Hours of Monza, the Peugeot 9X8 Hypercars were able to flourish in cooler track conditions, allowing the Hypercars to be extremely competitive, especially in the first few hours of the event. The team also did an amazing job, especially with strategies and repairs. So while Peugeot is starting to find improvements in the 9X8 Hypercar, their downside continues to be reliability. And I do say continues, because this is not the first time that Peugeot has had reliability issues with the 9X8. Since their debut in the World Endurance Championship last year, Peugeot has had a constant battle with reliability issues. And yes, pace has been a problem to keep up with the other manufacturers throughout the last couple of races they've been competing, but that goes the same for everybody. Most entries that join need a few races until they can become competitive, and that's exactly what Peugeot did. But reliability has been the major issue in the way of Peugeot's plans to return to the top level of endurance racing, fighting for overall honors. When Peugeot made their debut in 2022, they were plagued with multiple mechanical issues, forcing the 93 car to retire from the event, and the number 94 car to finish almost last overall. In the following race at Fuji, despite showing an improvement on pace, the 9X8s encountered oil leaks, and at the final race of the 2022 season at Bahrain, both cars encountered gearbox issues. 2022 was a disaster in terms of reliability, and 2023 did not start out great either. Sebring did not go well for Peugeot. Both of the 9X8 hypercars finished 9th and 10th in the hypercar class. But at Sebring, these were very different issues to last season in 2022, and a lot of these were out of Peugeot's control. You see, in that previous season, Peugeot was still trying to understand the car, whereas this season, they had more of an understanding of it. However, since they joined mid-season in 2022, they had not experienced tracks such as Spa or Sebring. The 9X8 had never raced a full event here at Sebring, and Peugeot themselves had not raced at Sebring since 2011. The 9X8 was also vulnerable to the bumpy nature of Sebring's tarmac, and an updated actuator which was supposed to come for Sebring unfortunately was delayed till Portimao, so they had that issue to go with. They had no experience of this car racing the event at Sebring, and they had to deal with the bumpy Sebring track. For a car that uses more underbody aerodynamics instead of overbody aerodynamics like Toyota's GR010 or Porsche's 963, this track was a total nightmare for Peugeot's 9X8. So at the next race at Portimao, Peugeot was finally able to fix that actuator issue, and the bumpy surface of Sebring was no longer existent. It was replaced with the smooth sailing Portimao circuit, which benefited the 9X8 hypercar's design. So in theory, the 9X8 hypercar would go much better here, and that's exactly what happened. Portimao was definitely a step in the right direction, and 2 races later at Le Mans, Peugeot really started to fight with the other manufacturers. They were a genuine contender for the race win. The number 94 car led a lot of that race, especially in the night. It's a shame that that crash happened for the number 94 car at the Daytona chicane, which resulted in it losing a lot of time. But then again, Peugeot did encounter reliability issues. But of course, this was a 24-hour event, and for most teams, there are bound to be some issues. As I stated, Monza was definitely a great race for them, although both cars did encounter reliability issues, so I think it could have been a better result for Peugeot overall. The number 94 car was set into the garage because of a gear shift actuator system error, which unfortunately prevented it from finishing in the top 10. I've also overheard that the number 93 car was also suffering a reliability issue. But besides that reliability issue, it seemed Peugeot had an amazing race at Monza. They achieved their first ever podium in the hypercar class and the World Endurance Championship, with the number 93 car driven by Paul di Resta, Mikkel Jensen, and Jean-Eric Vergne coming across the line in 3rd. My hope is Peugeot will be able to continue the improvement of pace and reliability throughout the remainder of the 2023 season into 2024 and beyond. And judging by the trajectory that they're on right now, those goals will be met. I expect Peugeot will get their first win in the WEC very soon. Thanks for following along. If you want to see more endurance racing content, especially on IMSA and WEC, make sure to hit the subscribe button to the left. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts on this video's topic, and make sure to check out one of the suggested options for another video to watch right now.